Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's event. This is all about what comes next after you have finished your courses in the business school. We have a lot of students from accounting and finance, and hence it says the accounting and finance out there. This is co-organized by our alumni relations team here. And let me just introduce myself at the start. My name is Sudha Matthew. I work with the School of Finance and Accounting, and the module I teach is in this room at this time, that's me. It's called, the module is called Corporate Governance, by the way. I'm sure all of you are familiar with it. Today I'm joined by a panel of recent graduates from the finance and accounting related courses who will share insights on career options after graduating. The panel will briefly introduce themselves, and then I'll put some questions to them, and then you will have the opportunity to put your questions to the panel. And this will be followed by a short networking session where you can speak more to the alumni. Some housekeeping stuff that you should know before we start. That this session will be recorded, but the students themselves are not going to be recorded. And there will be around 30 minutes after the panel discussion for question and answers from yourselves. You can raise your hand, or you can submit questions to Slido by opening slido.com. You can see it up there. You can scan the code with your phones, perhaps, and so you can be ready to ask questions when the time comes, and enter the code WCN1234 or scan the code. The recording will be shared with the students after the event. Okay, so today we have four alumni speakers who not so long ago sat where you are sitting in your seats and have gone on to pursue their interest and have great careers, exciting careers in their fields. So let's welcome them. Can we start just by introducing yourself by name?
I'm Roberta. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, welcome.
Mihaela, nice to meet you guys.
Mario, good morning.
Good morning all, my name is Zuru.
Welcome to all of you. So I guess we can start asking you the questions. I will put the questions one question at a time, and everybody can try and answer them. And after the questions, of course, we'll open it up for you guys to ask questions as well. So let's start. So let's go with Roberta first.
Yeah.
So what did you do at Westminster that helped you figure out what's your career path going to be, and what would you do differently if you had the time again?
Thank you for the question. So, first of all, I graduated in 2020 from the Business and Management with Finance course. So I really like how the course was structured, because from year one, I just took a general business management course, tried to work out a little bit what were my interests. So I tried different modules, marketing, economics, accounting, finance, and then I decided to specialize into finance because my interests were mostly there. And then something that especially like during my first year really helped me to understand a little bit my initial career path was probably the mentorship program that University of Westminster offered to us. Basically, like mentorship program is a program where you get assigned to a mentor from a specific fields in the workspace where you're interested in. I remember the first year I had like a mentor that was a manager in a leading fashion brand company. And from there, like I tried to understand a little bit what was like the corporate work, and then I had also a mentor that was working for a Big Four consulting. So I wanted to understand a little bit how was the consulting type of job, and that was very, very helpful. I still do mentorship right now. I found them very helpful, like very safe space to like just share your concern or work out your career doubts and get like inspiration from someone that has been in your shoes in the past. So definitely, this is a great thing that the university offered, and yeah. So
Just tell us where you are working and what particular path you have followed.
yeah, so right now I'm an investment associate at Bregal Private Equity Partners. So just two words on Bregal. Bregal is a mid-market private equity firm. We have around 18 billion of asset under management, and what we do like at Bregal, it's investing into like different private equity strategies. So there are different investment team. One of the investment team is Bregal Private Equity Partners, where I am, and what we do is co-investment transaction, investment into private equity fund and all the private equity secondary market across Europe and US. So I joined like 2.5 years ago as an investment associate and got promoted like a little bit less than a year ago and I joined as an investment analyst and got promoted a little bit less than a year ago to associate, and it's been great so far.
Very good, very good. Let's move on with the same question to Mihaela. So what did you do at Westminster that helped you to figure out what's your career path going to be, and what would you do differently if you were going to do it again?
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So actually, I'm going to be completely honest with you and tell you I had no clear pathway. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And this is completely fine if you're there as well. It happens. We don't always know what we want to do. And we just sometimes have to try and see if what works for us. So what I did in relation to that, I focused on my strengths. My strengths at the time, like some of them were my analytical skills. I really enjoyed numbers. My organizational skills were also very good, and I was a very good communicator and a team worker as well, which is very important, at least to me, and I'm very proud of that. This then helped me to land some jobs as volunteering and part-time admin. During my studies, I was doing them part-time. I also served as a class rep, and I also, similarly as Roberta, I took a part in the mentorship program. I didn't have a mentor myself. I was actually an e-mentor. So I was a mentor of someone who was a year down to me. So I was year 2, they were year 1. I also built my LinkedIn at this point to building my LinkedIn network to connect with some individuals that were already professionals in the corporate world. I followed companies to get some insights on career opportunities, and also fellow students, which I think is very important. We learn from each other. And yes, I am now a part of Funding Circle, which is the largest UK online small business lender. And I started as a loan operations analyst. A year later, I was promoted to credit operations analyst, when I now take care more of compliance checks, financial accounts, and bank statements as well. What I would do differently, that would be networking with lecturers. I really wish I took some more time to speak to my lecturers on a more deeper level, like not just about coursework, but more towards, what was their story? You know, what was your story? What did you do? Like, how did you get where you are now? And I think I would have definitely done that differently, and I highly recommend that to you now.
Thank you. Mario?
So I will start from what I do. So I work at Morgan Stanley in the technology team. I do like investment banking, and it's everything to do from like mergers and acquisitions, equity capital markets, debt capital markets within the EMEA region. And I've been at the firm for just about 6 months. I'm an associate, and before that I was working at Evercore, which is a boutique investment bank where I cover technology and energy. And then prior to that, I started my career in banking at Societe Generale in the energy space. And so I had the amazing fortune when I came to university that on my first day, there was, you get introduced to, you have basically students from the year above that do an introduction to the university, and basically you spend a full day with them. And I had the fortune of meeting who is today my best friend, one of my best friends, who was an A-star student, super, knew a lot about the finance industry, had gone his way around the university to be president of the Economics and Finance Society, sort of be super applied, be known by the teachers. And I got to meet him on the first day, and I said, wow, okay, so this guy really knows like his way around. And I just really stuck with him, and he guided my almost my entire career throughout university. Then he went to Imperial. I followed through, went to Imperial, and yeah, that really helped me a lot. And I think this university was really amazing about it is that aside from the teachers and the courses, there's a lot of room for you to be entrepreneurial and start your own society or be part of like the student-run clubs. And the benefit of these things is that you can really develop a lot of soft skills. And then on the side, through speaking through lecturers, attending the lectures, you're really able to explore the industry and see where where the interest lies for you. And in terms of what would I have done differently, it's a bit of a hard question to answer, because I would have studied harder always. I would have also studied less and partied more. I would have also, maybe do more modeling, but I'm actually quite happy with, my relationship with teachers, my grades, like my impact at university. So just be impactful.
Yeah, very good, Mario. Yeah. So,
Okay. So I'll start with where I work as well. So I'm currently working at Bupa, but I'm working as a finance business partner. And I finance business partner with the executive level directors, and I'm assigned to three of their departments. So I'm assigned to the CLO and Chief Information Security Officer. And so basically my role involves providing decision support, which is basically management accounting and tracking how their departments are doing against budget. So a lot of the work that I do actually influences a lot of decisions that are made about, like, for example, Bupa's legal department globally, and their info security departments globally. So in uni, I think I was always leaning towards management accounting without actually realizing, oh, actually, I really like what actually I'm leaning towards. So when I was finishing off uni, I was always thinking, what should I go into? Should I go into the Big Four? Should I go into this, and this? But by that point, I felt like I appealed more towards management accounting, especially having done a placement year at Goldman Sachs as a financial controller, which was also management accounting, where I was looking after their P&L, or I was looking after their income statement, balance sheet, and like movements, actuals against what's in budget. I think one other thing that really helped me realize I like management accounting is when we took part in a competition called the IBM Universities Business Challenge. If it's still running, or it's the university still, okay, yeah, still participate. So as part of it, I found myself leaning, it's where you run a virtual business. Basically, you're given numbers, and with those numbers, you're supposed to make decisions about, for example, the selling prices and how much do you spend on marketing, things like that. And I found myself leaning towards like building out the income statement, for example, and modeling, like if you've changed one factor on the income statement, then what's it going to reflect on all of the other expenditure. So yeah, I think Westminster offered a lot of like these opportunities that I explored, and I naturally just leaned in towards management accounting. Yeah, and I'm happy where I am now. And I considered going into audit, but I think over time I've realized audit I don't really like as much anymore either, especially on completing my qualification with ACCA, because you get to choose different modules that you want to go ahead and learn with. So I did advanced financial management, and I did audit, and I found audit to be a bit not my thing. So I decided I'm not going to go into, for example, audit. And as for what would I have done differently, I feel like I took university quite stressfully, like quite seriously. I was like, remember in second year, I was like participating in one thing after the other. I was doing so much that my week was completely packed. So we had uni like 3 days a week, but then apart from it, the other 2 days were completely jam-packed as well. But sometimes I feel like if I went back, maybe I should have thought about maybe spending a bit more time with friends or just exploring London. I didn't realize like how important that was until we finished uni and all of us like go our own separate ways. And I stopped like after uni, a lot of things changed, and you stopped thinking of your life as just career. You know, your life is a combination of all of these many different things. So I wish I invested in those areas in uni. Yeah.
One quick question, Zuri.
Yeah.
Did you do a 4-year course or 3?
I did a 4-year
So you
course.
did any
Yeah.
placement?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
That's useful to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the second question, which was, again, we'll start with Roberta, I guess. What were your worries in terms of employment opportunities coming out of your degree versus your actual experience?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe like just 2 words on the experience that I've done when I was at Westminster. So I had the opportunity to do like 2 small internships. One was in a startup, more like business management type of internship, and then like I joined an advisory firm focused on co-investment transaction, capital formation solution for private equity funds as well then. And then from that experience, I really understood that I wanted to do like something like more closer to the financial world and maybe like the investment space. So when I graduated from Westminster, it was a very like difficult year because we were in the middle of COVID. So I would say, very, very worried because I went back to Italy for the circumstances, my home country, and then I started my first full-time job completely like online. So really like going out of my comfort zone, didn't know anyone in person, and I joined Preqin, which is a data intelligence company for the alternative assets. So a little bit more like the Bloomberg of the private market, I would say, and I didn't know what to expect 100% from the role in terms of like it was very data analytics focused, and of course was a very different experience from the previous internship that I had. I didn't know how was the culture, so I was a little bit worried of like joining a firm and be like the right fit, and these like on the culture side for me, I would say that probably. It's very, very important to find like a job where you really fit like personally with a good team. I mean, at least it was for me, especially like in finance. Like I'm talking for like other women, like typically very male-dominated industry, and sometimes initially I was a little bit stressed of finding myself just like in a room like full of men, being the only women. But then I was like. I think I always met many nice people, like, and eventually, like, they're also super nice women and successful women in the industry. So, yeah, it was a little bit about the culture. Don't know about like the right experience and opportunity that you have initially, but then you really develop your skill set on the work, I would say.
Thank you. Mihaela?
So my worries were that I actually saw a lot of graduates who found it very difficult to land jobs, and that was due to like many reasons. The high competition. Yes, the industry is like highly competitive, I have to say that. And also due to lack of experience. So they had to find, so they graduated, they had to find like other jobs, and then in the meantime they were looking for the one that they desired. That was a worry from, I don't know, maybe in the beginning of my first year in university, and that basically highlighted the high value of having work experience early on, which is why I then took the responsibility of having a very hard second half of the second year and third year, so I can get as much experience as possible. The other worry, just after graduating, or more like, finishing my studies, I was very nervous about, was I going to fit in the corporate world? Was I going to be able to perform well? Was that the right place for me? Was it the right industry for me? What exactly was going to happen with me once I went into that? And I'll tell you something, like 3 years, it'll be 3 years in May. Since then, don't worry about that, because you will have onboarding training, and if you don't, then there is something wrong with the company. This is a question that you should be asking. First, do you provide any training during onboarding? It is very important, and write this down, because ask that your future employers. You'll be fine. If it's not from the first time, it will later on, but that were my main worries.
Super. Mario?
Yeah, for me, I think landing a job was not really a worry, and it didn't become a worry after I heard one thing, which is nobody stays unemployed forever. And I think that really, that gave me a lot of peace. But I think my biggest worries, and early on in my undergraduate degree, I knew I wanted to pursue investment banking, which is very highly competitive. And I was thinking, how can I differentiate myself versus all the students that are at tier 1 schools like LSE, Imperial, and so on. That's what really how can I make it through the recruitment process? How can I put myself in the door? And I think that was having that thought early on really helped me to differentiate myself through my soft skills. And it really helped me even up until today in my career. I think this university really helped me differentiate in that aspect relative to any other school. And and in terms of technical knowledge or that's all stuff that you can learn. The courses are all based off of the same books here and at LSE. So you can put yourself at par there, but then when it gets to an interview, if you have a much stronger ability to persuade, a much stronger ability to connect with people, which is what this university helped me develop, you really differentiate yourself there. And I think that was my worry, but not anymore.
Super. Thank you. Zut.
So can I ask, how many of us here are international students? Okay. Got a few hands. So I think we have a shared worry that by the end of our university life, if we don't find a job, eventually we'll have to go back home. So that was a major worry for me, because back then they didn't have the postgraduate visa as well, which gives you 2 years to stay back in the UK. So I think it was also COVID when I graduated. So I think it made it 10 times harder to find a job, not because you didn't have the skills, but because the opportunities became so few in those couple of months in that year. And I remember I was I was getting to the final stages of so many of these big companies, and then they would come back to me and say, apologies, we're not recruiting anymore because of COVID. For example, we've stopped. We were not going to have the assessment center, and that was heartbreaking. It was actually 2 months before I was set to leave the country that my visa was confirmed with the company that I was working part-time with at the time, and they decided, we want to go ahead with you. So that was a major worry, but at the time, over time, I'd accepted this is a reality and it's going to happen, just so that it, gets rid of the impact on me. And I'm thankful for, I think, where I ended up. One major worry going into that role, I felt like I lacked the confidence in my own self, in my own technical abilities. I was like, look at these other people who've done the role before me. And then I'm at my starting point, comparing myself to these people, thinking, how will I get there? But I've learned over time that you should not be looking at this point, like so far away. You should be looking at your next point and keeping yourself moving forward. And so the technical bits I found, I picked them up quite easily, and it was only a matter of, are you someone who can pick those things up easily? Those are skills that you exercise in uni, through your exams, through the things that you're doing in, uni. You pick up those skills, and as long as you have those skills, you become so adaptable to so many environments. Like, so I'd worked in HCA Healthcare for about 4 years before I moved into Bupa, and it's been a massive change, but because I feel like I built up that resilience and those skills and the ability to adapt, I was able to settle into the role, and I was able to pick up the technical bits over time. Yeah, I think those are the major
Very,
ways.
very good. Thank you, Zuri. So Roberta, we ask you the next question, which is, what was the hiring process for your current job like?
Yeah, so I think the hiring process for my current job was very like the typical graduate analyst hiring process. So I found this opportunity through a recruiting agency, and recruiting agencies are very, very good because they support you throughout all the like hiring process, giving like some preparation for every step. So I joined a team of just like 10 people. So I would say that for me, for my role, their personal fit was really, really important. So initially I had like different interview steps with all the senior people just to understand like motivation, what was my understanding of the role, why I wanted to do that position, and then just like see like the culture fit. Then I had like a technical interview, which was a case study where we had to assess an investment opportunity. I had to assess an investment opportunity and decide whether like I would have invested or not, highlighting any risk. And then after that was really like just met the rest of the team. So this was my hiring process. And overall, I think it took around like 2 months.
2 months.
Was quite long, and then yeah.
Thank you. Mikia?
So the way it worked out for me, I didn't actually apply for it directly. A talent acquisitions officer reached out to me via LinkedIn. We had a chat, we had a screening call. I sent her my CV after I looked at the job description. I really liked the role. I did my research on the company as well. What sounded from the job description, it fit my skills, and they thought that would be a good fit for an interview. I had an interview scheduled in a week. Everything happened in like sort of like 2 weeks, I think. It was very quick. Just before the interview, I got another call from the talent acquisitions officer again to just like go over the format of the interview, what the interviewers were expected to see. I had the interview with one manager, one team leader, I think at this point it was, lasted about 45 minutes, mixture of more soft skills based questions and competency questions, and then I got a call with a job offer in like shortly after the interview, actually, the same day, and I started work in a month. Like that was my onboarding experience, and then I also want to mention, I did mention I got promoted a year later to a credit operations analyst from loan operations analyst. This is due, so I did that through internal interviews actually. I had to apply internally for the role, and then I went through the whole like interview process again, where I did have to go through competency questions as well. So as it's not an entry-level role, you have to have a bit more competency, knowledge and skills-based answers to this.
Very good. Thank you, Michaela. Mario?
So I think the process is in investment banking is really standardized. I think getting the interview is like a numbers game or networking. So that's like the first step. And then, there are 3 things that I think get assessed across the board and across banks is whether you are a good fit for the team, whether you have the right motivation to be doing that product and be working within that sector. And then the other thing is whether you have the technical ability to do the job. So that's, that this is done through multiple interviews and through some online tests and assessment days, and it's actually quite standardized, and there's a lot of information on this in online. And it's super helpful. And then in terms of how I got hired for my current role at Morgan Stanley, is when I was working at my previous firm, we were on a co-advisory mandate with Morgan Stanley, so I was the person that at junior level was connecting and coordinating. And I always got along really, really, really well with the Morgan Stanley team. And then one day they just rang me up and they were like, "Hey, we need people. We like how you work. We like you as a person." I hope they still do after I've joined. And then we kicked off interviews, and I had like 2 months of interviews. It was pretty hardcore, but it was very nice. I got to meet all the people and then made the move. Yeah.
Thank you. Soft skills really matter.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. Isn't it?
So I'll start with HCA because that was my first job after uni. So, I didn't really reflect on this until I got the questions, and I was like, actually, I've got both the jobs that I have now because of people that I knew at uni, and they weren't the senior lecturers or people like that or anything, or mentors. It's just friends, and people that I knew. So the place that I was working in after uni, that was because I knew someone who was in the same team, and then he was looking for someone who will fill a vacancy, a junior vacancy in the team. And I went through as Mari described, the questions on competency and soft skills, and I think in most interviews, there's about 3 sections, 3 general themes, which is one, are you a good fit for the company? So they will ask you to demonstrate examples of when you've had to work with, for example, if you have to work with diverse teams in your role, okay, where's the experience of this? And then they ask you technical questions, and then they ask you questions about the company. Have you done your research to figure out the company? So I found the interviews quite easy. The interview for HCA was quite straightforward, and I had, by the time I reached that stage, I think my CV was full of a lot of things that demonstrated the skills that I needed specifically for that role. So it wasn't difficult to talk about those things. And then while in HCA, so I started as finance assistant. I was promoted from that to management accountant, and then to senior management accountant. But then I almost feel like I didn't have to prove myself as much because my work was visible. The things that I was doing at work was visible. So I felt like even though I was going through the interviews, I again had so much to say. I've done this, this, and this. And once you go into work, you actually realize that before you become senior, you have already actually become senior without having the title. You find yourself having done the responsibilities in a senior role before they actually take you on for the senior role. So I progressed in that way. And then, so I'd done 4 years at HCA, and then I decided, okay, let me try adding something a little bit more different, a bit more client-facing to my experience. So that's why I went into Bupa, and that's when another friend of mine who works at Bupa, she referred me, and she was giving me advice about the company culture and what it's like and how it's really good. So she really helped me get through the process. And interview stage, it was only 2 interviews, and I think, again, experience and skills speak. You won't be able to speak about something, for example, that you haven't done or learned or achieved at work. It's very hard to do that. So I was able to speak about all the things I'd done previously, and that helped me get through to Bupa.
Thank you, Zero. It appears that filling up your CV with relevant
Yeah.
skills is important and networking, right?
Yeah, so
Fantastic.
I think it's very important for us to understand that you cannot always submit the same generic CV to every single role. Oh, I'm going to submit the same thing to audit, to investment banking, to consultancy, because there's always like so many different parts of accounting and finance. You know, you have to tailor it to say, this experience I've picked up from here, so that makes me suitable for that role. Yeah.
Very good, thank you. So Roberta, where do you advise for our students here to find job opportunities?
Yeah, so for what is my experience, I found it always very helpful to look at opportunities through LinkedIn, but not just like submitting the same CV as you said through the easy apply button, but really target, think about what you would like to do, and then apply for a job with a reason, and then maybe use the LinkedIn tool like to also reach out to the people that are in that role to understand like how's their experience, what are the skills required for that role, right? And then I think for my role at Bregal, probably like recruiting companies were very, very helpful. There are a few recruiting companies such as Dartmouth Partners, which have like very early type of career job in finance. They have people dedicated to different like clusters such as like accounting, audit, consulting, banking, private equity investment firms, and they really help you and guide you through like the opportunities that are available. And then I would say make the most out of the university's tools, right? The career service, networking fairs, career fairs, job portals. There's always like something interesting there as well.
Thank you, Michaela.
I will touch on the university resources as well. So there is a Engage. And if that is still a thing, I hope it is. Guys, make use of it. This is where I actually found my volunteering role, which was very difficult to find, first of all. It was very difficult to land there. I've probably applied to over 40 volunteering roles. Yes. Not just through Engage, but most of them were through Engage. This was the only one that I landed, and it was through Engage. Make use of it. Then LinkedIn, I just can't focus more on LinkedIn. You have to. It's just very important. That's the best network out there given to you. Use it the right way. Connect to other professionals, fellow students, lecturers, mentors, recruiters even. The other thing, there's plenty of websites that you can apply, like through Indeed, Glassdoor, Total Jobs, through recruitment agencies. Contact them. They'll help you like on a more personal level as well to find the right job for you. And then also like a big one, you can apply directly through companies' websites. If you have in mind, okay, I want to work in, I don't know, give me Bloomberg, right? Keep an eye on their website, career page, and whenever something pops up that's really calling your name, go for it and apply through straight on from the careers page.
Thank you, Michaela. Mario.
So my peers have mentioned like most of the resources already, and I think like what's super important is what type of roles are you applying to, and also be mindful of the timing, right? So for example, in banking, if you want entry-level roles, like the best way through is first starting with spring weeks, then going through summer internships, applying to graduate schemes, and all the banks have their selection process between August and September. If you miss that, then you are out, right? So it's difficult to apply to full-time analyst roles without having gone through that. So super important to know the timing. Be realistic with them, with the roles that you are applying to. And there's another saying, beggars can be choosers. So really apply apply everywhere, right? Like plan A, plan B, plan C. For summer internships, even consider like doing it back home or doing it in another country, you know? And, you know, and also I cannot hesitate enough the importance of networking. And, you know, if offer yourself to work voluntarily for a friend of your dad or a friend of your uncle, or, you know, really go out of your way to see where there are opportunities. And I think in terms of networking, you know, you can be very direct yourself, but it's also, there is a lot of value add to other people helping you get other jobs, right? So, I mean, my first job in banking, after I was at Imperial, and like I was getting absolutely no interviews, when because I offered myself to the brother of my aunt to work for free at his firm, and he was like, I don't have physical space for you to sit here, but I'll pass over your CV to these opportunities. And that's what opened the door. And then I think super important, you know, if you're given the opportunity to interview, make sure you prep and you give your 100%, and because there's nothing you will regret more than having the opportunity of your life and not have prep for it. So that's also very important.
Very good, Mario. Thank you. Zuru.
So I don't know if the university is still doing it now, but when I was graduating, they used to send out a spreadsheet or a list of employers that you could and roles that you could apply for and explore. So that was quite useful, and not that I managed to make it to the end process of any of those. But I think after uni, I found LinkedIn quite helpful, because you can tailor it based on what you like as well. I want to see roles, for example, in management accounting or audit, and then those sort of roles, they show up on your feed. And also, like, from the perspective of an international student, because we need sponsorship, don't we, to be able to perform a role in the UK. So I think a good way to find those roles is to go on gov.uk website and see the list of which companies actually sponsor and such roles, and then go to the website of such companies and apply for those sort of roles. But yeah, I think LinkedIn was my main source. And then I didn't do this, but then I saw other people going down the recruitment agency route as well. And it was a good way for them to like get short-term roles, for example, that will help them gain experience. So the good thing about recruitment agencies is they will do the work for you. They will match you with employers. And I felt like the competition is also a bit less, because they select you introducing you to the employers. And employers tend to, I've seen, at least in my field, I've seen employers tend to trust recruitment agencies more than just going through a generic list of everyone who's, applied. So, because these are verified people. Yeah,
very useful comments. Thank you. Roberta, we'll move to the next question, which is there anything on your CV that you think has given you an edge in your career?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the career I'm doing right now, so in private equity, co-investment and funds of funds, probably the little experience that I had before that were kind of related really helped me a lot. They were not on the investment side, which is what I really wanted to enter in, but still I came quite prepared, experiencing a different side of a financial world, or something still related to private investing, maybe more on the sales side or data analytics and research when I was at Preqin. But I felt like when I found this job, I know a little bit what I was talking about. I had a general overview of the market, and I think that really helped me. But yeah, so this is
very good.
This is a bit.
Thank you. And Michaela?
So I want to give a bit of context as well about my personal experience. majority of my experience. So, as I already mentioned, I was an e-mentor at university. I was a class representative. I had 6 months of volunteering for a charity as a project manager. I had an admin role as well for about 8 months. And I had about 4 to 5 years of experience in the hospitality industry, on and off, because I was in the private sector, which meant it's seasonal. Sometimes there'll be weeks where it will be very little to no work. So I had all that on my CV, first of all, and during my interview, I did give specific examples that were related to my personal experiences, whether that was about university or my work. They were all like real life examples, and I think that was really the edge that gave my future employers the belief that I was the right fit for the role. It showed them I was reliable, that I had a very strong work ethic, and that I was eager to learn and to develop and improve. So I also spoke to my mentor, who was also my interviewer and was also my manager. And I spoke to her, and she told me, Mihaela, most of your examples were from your hospitality job, not from your university degree, not from your volunteering or anything else. It was from your hospitality job. So this is just a sign for you to say every job counts, every experience counts, whether that is paid, not paid, anything that you have as experience, even if that is personal, as volunteering for a parent company, related company, like, your relatives or something, helping out maybe when you were little. Personal story, my mom was working in a bakery back in Bulgaria. I'm Bulgarian. I was 14, 13. Whenever she had a late finish at like 10 p.m., I would go and help her out, close off the shop. And that really taught me some discipline and like eager to, okay, I want to work. I do really want to work, and I want to work hard, and like I want to get to a point where I want to be able to be proud of what I get, and I think that really was an edge.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mario.
You'll be surprised how many times, like, I've had 2 CVs, and on paper, one is like, looks stellar, like top grades, top internship. And then you have another one which is a little bit on paper more average, and then you meet or you interview the person, and the person with the average CV like could impress you significantly more. It happens very, very regularly. So I think for me what's super important is how do you sell yourself, right? And how do you sell what's actually on your CV? I think that's where you really get an edge. I will add to what Mihaela mentioned. I don't think, guys, like, if you all have worked in hospitality, if you don't have time to do volunteering work because you need to, support yourself financially and stuff, that's actually something that is very, very admirable, right? Like, I don't think I would be able to do a hospitality job. So I actually truly admire people that do these hospitality jobs. And then in some interviews, the people don't even talk about it, and for me, I'm so extremely surprised. And then in my particular case, what I think gave me an edge was just really, I think when you looked at my CV and when I sold myself, you could see someone who was interested in working hard, interested in pursuing a career in the field. Even if I didn't have like internships in investment banking at Goldman, like, I was finding my way through, and look, I worked at a luxury perfume company. It was nice, but it's not what I want to do, and it just reinforces that I want to do banking. So, every opportunity really counts. Doesn't matter if it's volunteering, paid, and non-paid. It's all about how you tell your story and how you sell yourself.
Very good. Thank you very much.
So I think there are a couple of things that were quite heavy on my CV, and one of them was definitely Goldman. So I felt like that really opened a lot of doors for me afterwards, because that's like being able to secure a placement in a place where it's very difficult to get into. I think it makes employers sort of trust that you have the skills to be able to perform the role. And sometimes some places think that you have too much as well. So you're a bit too much for that role. That happens too. So I think that gave an edge. But then it definitely, one other thing is the IBM University's Business Challenge, because in that we went through many different rounds. And for example, there were rounds where we were running the numbers, and there were rounds where we were pitching the business and coming up with different strategies. So like I felt like there's a lot there to be able to speak from, that I can relate to the roles that I was applying for. I would say when it comes to your CV, just try to like tailor it to the role that you're applying for, because I've been on the other side as well. I've been involved in recruitment to an extent, and it just surprises me like how many CVs that came to us that they all look standard. Like I can't differentiate this person versus this person versus this person. It's only at the interview stage that people truly start to talk about, you know, their skills and the things that they've done. And you might find that someone has, like, for example, 10 years of having done this, but they're not able to really speak about the things that they've done, about their own work. Whereas someone who's like done about 3 years of experience, they know what accounting concepts are, for example. They know what we're dealing with in the role. So I think employers tend to look for that sort of familiarity, so that there's like less of a gap for you to transition from that role to the other. And especially like as you become more senior, especially in my field, you know, it becomes less, oh, we're going to take you in and we're going to teach you everything from scratch. It becomes you already have this knowledge which will help you bridge knowledge that's about to come. So like really trying to speak about your experience that you've picked up in your previous roles is important, I think, as like Maria said as well.
Thank you, Zaru. We come to the last question, and then we'll open up for the questions. So the last question is, Roberta, what top pieces of advice do you have for students trying to get into a career?
I mean, first of all, I would say really try to understand which are your strengths and your passions. Since like now that you're at university, trying out as many modules as possible, like understand like the different subject, what you really like, because I mean, without motivation, I would say it's very hard to do any type of job, right? And especially also like maybe a job in finance or banking that requires a lot of time commitment. You really need to like what you're doing. And then second advice, I would say really try to build up the network that can support you in landing where you see yourself in the next 5 years. So network is extremely, extremely important. You are very lucky being here at the University of Westminster. Probably the majority of you just relocated here in the UK, left your family, home countries to come and study here. So just make the most out of your university experience, network with your peers, with other alumni, and really make the most out of this, because London is a great place, one of the most international cities here in Europe. You meet people from everywhere. Be very open-minded and like ask people about their job, their experience, and so don't be shy in finding your ways.
Thank you, Michaela.
I would say like focus on gaining experience. Any experience counts, as I already mentioned. And I know it is challenging managing both university, personal life, and also work, but it really matters how you build your work ethic and how you gain all these like technical and competency-based skills that will be needed later on in your careers. Be open to start small. It's fine to start with a very entry level role and then work your way up gradually, slowly but gradually. This is what I'm doing. It's fine, you will get there. It will take time, but it will be worth at the end. And also make sure you use this time to like build very valuable connections that will really help you later on, as it's already been mentioned actually. Networking is a big one. Through networking, you can grow your career, which really focus on that as well. Develop soft skills. Yes, a technical competency-based skills will be needed. You're already in university, you're gaining these skills, but don't forget about the soft skills that you're going to need. Things like active listening, empathy, communication, adaptability to change, public speaking. These are all skills that will be very, very valuable, and they will also make you stand out from all the other candidates. And yes.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Mario?
Yeah, depending on what you guys want to do, I think there is a level of intensity that you need to keep, right? For a job in investment banking, the intensity is really, really, really high, okay? And, you know, I would say that every time you have the opportunity to make an impact in your career, you should. For example, right, when I used to attend events like this one, I used to sit in the front row, you know, I would have my questions ready, I would take notes, I wouldn't be looking at my phone, you know, and I would actually be paying a lot of attention. And I would have hired myself when I was, you know, I was hoping I would get hired by the person paneling here, right? And then I come to many events where I'm trying to find that person. You know, I come here because I love the university, but I'm trying to find, you know, good candidates that I can propose to my team, right? So, you know, you have to treat every opportunity, even such as this one, as an opportunity to make an impact in your career, right? You can network with the panel, you can network with other peers, so make sure you do that. And it's super important that you look at how you present yourself in all of these situations, right? What I'll also say is, you know, it's tough to get the first job. It's very scary, okay? But, you know, everybody starts from the same base, and you'll be surprised how many people actually have the resilience to make it to the end of the race. Many, many, many people fall on the way, okay? And it could be because, oh, it's scary. Oh, numbers are against me. Sure, that's at the base, but when you're at the end, you will realize that, you know, it's not, if you do everything, you tick the boxes technically, you've ticked the box. On fit, you tick the box. On motivational, you've ticked the box. You'll get there. You'll get there, right? And last thing is, every no is a no closer to your yes, guys. So apply, have that mindset, you know, and the job will come. Careers are very long. You don't have to go from 0 to 100 on your first year. There are many ways of getting to your dream job, right? And you just need to explore it and be out there 100%, keep intensity, right? And enjoy life. You really now have the time to do a little bit of everything, right? If you work, you will enjoy working. If you are doing extracurricular activities, you will enjoy doing extracurricular activities. I met Suru through my extracurricular activities. And
My manager.
yeah, we worked together. We had a great time, although we were working and not really getting paid, right? So, yeah, yes, intensity, guys. Chase your dream, and you'll get there.
Oh, thank you, Mario. Zulu?
I would say I think it should be intense, but intense at the right moments. Like, you need to strategically think about, okay, at which time do I need to like actually perform to be able to like build out what's my vision. So for an example of that is in my first and second year, especially my second year of uni, I invested heavily in participating in almost everything I could at uni, just so that, because I knew that will help me get a placement, one, and two, after uni, third year of uni, I wanted to focus more on studies. So I had a heavy second year of uni, and that sort of helped me carry myself through the rest of uni and finding a job and all of these struggles. And you'd be surprised like how one small thing might open doors for you like in multiple different directions, but you need to be the one to, you know, take that step and say, okay, I am going to show up for this, right? So for example, the fact that I did participate in the university's business challenge, it opened doors for me into multiple different things, not just work-wise, like internally inside uni when I was applying for things, like open doors. But one way that you will never like move forward is if you just sit there and, you know, think, oh, I'm never going to get there. So I would say experiment, be there, show up, because, you know, you'd be surprised how many people don't actually like have the energy to show up to such things. And I was very fortunate to be always surrounded by a crowd of people who were always trying to like achieve everything at uni, and they helped me stay motivated as well. And also I think give yourself a break, because stop thinking that all decisions that I'm making right now are set in stone, because I think you're all quite young, and there's like in university that's like a place for you to explore, experience, and fail as much as you want, so that you know exactly what you're good at and what you like and what you don't, so that in the future you go into what you like. Because you'll find that you can always like change career path and jobs, and but it becomes a little bit harder once you reach a certain level, because people start looking for specialized individuals for different positions, especially once you become so senior. So then if you, for example, want to jump from one whole industry to the other, it's like, okay, where's the experience, you know, for this, to make this jump? So explore everything, be open to it, and don't stress yourself out too much. Whatever decisions you make now, even if you fail that exam, or if you get, you know, if you get lower grades, don't believe that it's not reversible, or you will never climb out of that situation. There's always time right now, especially to amend it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I think it's about 10:15 now, so we'll move on to question and answers to the audience, to the students who are looking for, might have more questions on their side. Let me take the time to thank all of you guys for answering the questions. Thank you very much. So let's put the questions now to the audience. You have the Slido here. Please, you can put your hands up, or use the code, get into Slido and use the code, and you can put your questions in there as well. Okay, we have some questions already. Can I put those questions on to Zuru first? Can you expand on the Goldman Sachs placement year? How did you secure it? And what was the whole process like? Any tips?
Okay. So I think it's like applying to it wasn't very glamorous, because I was applying everywhere. I remember when I applied to it, it was, I think I flew back from Switzerland that night, and the deadline for it was midnight, and I had like half an hour to submit my CV, and I was tired. I was like, oh, I can't be asked to do this, but let me just get this out of the way. And I never thought that things would turn out the way that it did. And the next thing I knew, I had an interview with them, and like I said, in that interview, I'd really sold myself on, you know, the experiences that I had at uni, like IBM, for example. I did IBM like every year of uni, by the way, so about 3 times. The first time we went to we didn't go to the semifinals. Second time we went to the semifinals. So last time we actually won the whole competition. So, but the fact that I even participated in it, I had so much to talk about, and that quite impressed them. And I felt like they were more interested in the things that I've done and the skills that I've demonstrated than, oh, are you from Cambridge, or are you from Oxford, right? I was able to sell myself in that way. Yeah, I think that's what's even
so
made it.
can you just, the IBM is the challenge
Yeah, the
program which the university provides,
Yeah.
right? So any opportunity, you were taking it on.
Yeah. Basically, I still struggle. I have to delete things off my CV because it's better to have a 2-page CV than a 3-page CV. So I have to now delete things because of all the things that I've done. So if in case those programs are still running, I was volunteering a lot. I participated in the mentorship program. I was in WBC. I think I worked in like 3 roles inside the university, from IT to the alumni team. So, there's many different roles. I did IBM, and then I think I was at some point on the employer advisory board for the university. I got involved in Students as Co-Creators as well, where we were doing a research project. What else? And I did Polylang, for example, where we would, it was an extra subject that you could study, and as part of it, actually, we were able to go to Italy for summer school for a bit. So I was trying to capitalize on every single thing, and that helped in the process, yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Sudha,
Mario,
sorry.
yeah, anyone?
We've got
Yeah?
a question from the crowd.
Yeah, great.
Did you have a question?
I mean, my question, it's a bit more different. It's mainly based on the masters. I've seen on LinkedIn, Mario and Roberta, that you guys have applied to LSE and Imperial. And I wanted to know if it's necessary actually doing the masters in a banking career, and how it was the process coming from a background of Westminster.
So up until last year, I would have said yes. That is quite important to get masters. It helps. But then there was an outlier last year from a student in finance, and I'm sure there are more, but it's just one person I've been following who got a role in IBD at Houlihan Lokey directly from Westminster. I think what differentiated this candidate or this person was that he was super aggressive in terms of networking. He was doing newsletters weekly, president of the Economics and Finance Society, and he got out of his way to find a role. I would say if you don't have that level of intensity, pursuing a master's degree can help you bridge the gap. But there are exceptions to the rule also, yeah.
Did you do the GMAT?
So I didn't need to do the GMAT because I have a BSc, which means that is mathematical. But it's most helpful. But what helped me, the way I got to Imperial was I went to one of the classes because my peer, my best friend took me to one of the lessons. I loved it. He introduced me to admissions team. I told him how interested I was in the university and presented myself extremely well. And then I went to an event, I think it's QS Masters event, where the admissions officer for the program was you could have one-to-one interviews. And I presented myself super well, told them, look, I don't have a GMAT because I'm just doing so many things in parallel, such as president of the society. I'm also running this junior enterprise business. And that really impressed her. And she was like, well, let me know once you apply. And then I told her, I've already applied. I know this is what I want to do. And then she just contacted me all the time about the selection process. So, it's all about trying to differentiate yourself, try to get out of your way to make yourself noticed. And yeah, that's what worked for me.
Yeah, for me, I really decided to do a master because when I realized I wanted to move more on the investment side, I felt that I didn't do any courses during my undergrad. I didn't choose any courses on accounting specifically, so I really wanted to develop more the accounting skill set and study more. So I decided to do this master, and the way I did the application for this master was pretty straightforward. I tried to first of all network with current students, understanding how did they do their application. I didn't do any GMAT, And yeah, I talk about like my experiences and why I really wanted to do that courses and why those skill sets would have helped me in achieving my career goal, which is eventually what I'm doing now. Yeah, I think it helped me because of the target, like technical skills and like, broader knowledge as well. But to this point, I mean, I would say, reiterate what Mario said. It's really important, like no matter like a master or just like an undergraduate course, it's really important how you sell yourself, because like really the soft skills when you come to an interview are very, very important. Yeah, so.
There was a question on Slido about good CV format. Is a 2-page allowed? I think we got the answer from Zuru, which says that 2-page is better than 3-page. And
Yeah.
so I will move on unless you have something else to say.
Yeah, I'll just say definitely 1 page, and don't give so much information that they don't need to interview, right? Use it almost as a tease, right? Tell them, look, this is all I can talk to you about in an interview, and make it sound interesting. Yeah, that'll be my.
Also because employers look at your CV for like what, 2 to 3 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's-
yeah, it's very quick.
So it needs to be like easily readable rather than long texts.
And in terms of the format itself, you can look at Imperial's got formats. Westminster has a 1-page CV format. Harvard's got 1 page. LSE's got 1 page. All of this is online, and there are like guides on like using action words. Like these are like really good guides by most business schools, including this one, that you should follow.
Very good. Is there any other question from any other hands up? If not, I'll just move on with the Slido one. To better understand the landscape of your industry, could you share what typical salary range or compensation looks like in your field when you join, I guess? We want to start, Roberta?
Yeah, probably when you join like a graduate analyst program, like range of base salary could be between like the 50 to 60 K a year, and then you have discretionary bonus that depends on the firms you join.
Everybody agree with that, right? Could
For
be-
my type of role,
Yeah.
on
In
the investment
in
side.
different fields, it might be slightly different,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in investment banking, first year graduate, you're looking at an average compensation of about 100,000. Yeah. On your first year, average comp including base and bonus, plus minus 20K. Yeah, is the way I put it is enough to keep you there, but not enough to justify the hours that we're working. But yeah, and it gets better.
Yeah. Good.
I think in management accounting, I think a real difference is made when you finally qualify. So that's when your salary starts climbing. And so graduates, I think, can start from about, I don't know, it can range from 35 to 45 based on like the type of company it is. But once you qualify, the average market rate is going to be about 55K. And that's going to include, on top of that, you will get bonuses as well. But once you qualify, you can start climbing up the ladder, because some roles in management accounting you just cannot climb unless you have a qualification. So for example, in my field, it would normally, the progression would be management accountant, it might be controller next, but you cannot become controller unless you have that qualification, and controllers can earn from 80 to 90K and then on to CFO, finance directors, etc. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Mikhail?
Yeah, from credit perspective, because this is more of a risk/compliance sort of a role, as well as operations, it really depends on like the background of the credit role that you're starting with. The beginning, like don't expect anything probably say like below 50, and then it grows as well. Like you have to be thinking of qualifications depending on where you want to go. You might want to go into AML, fraud. Might want to end up doing getting into underwriting. This is very well paid. And then depending on which industry as well, you could be like insurance underwriter. That's completely different to lending. So it really depends on the industry you want to get into, I would say.
Yeah. Thank you very
Sida.
much.
Sida, I think we maybe got
Yeah.
a follow-up question on the
Yeah,
back of that.
yeah.
Sorry, another question for Mario. I landed this summer an investment banking internship, and I just wanted to know if you could give me like some tips on what I should do, how I should act in the company, and I don't know, just some tips.
Congrats. Do you want to give me a bit more details? Like where, what team?
In Mediobanca, it's
Yeah.
M&A FIG.
Nice, nice. Okay, look, I think most important thing is double check your work all the time. Like, it's super important to know where the numbers come from. Make sure you don't make mistakes. That's super important. It's a good question. Try to hit the ground running. Try to prep between now and the time when you join the team. It's learn about the industry, read the FT, do some modeling courses, especially for FIG because it's very specific.
You have some courses that I can actually find online.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Just connect with me after this. And then I think be reliable, have a very good attitude, work really, really hard, and be personable, be friendly to your colleagues, be seen as a person they can rely on to offload work in, and I think that pretty much covers it. And enjoy it, right? Try to use it as an experience to see if it's what you like. Try to see if you like the sector, if you like the team, and that would be my advice. Always.
Very good, thank you. There's one question on Slido for Zuru. Can you expand on your experience with taking ACCA exams? When did you start them? Did your employer fund them? And any tips on taking them?
So I think I started ACCA straight after I became permanent and I passed my probation. And so my employer was an ACCA approved employer, which meant that we could skip some of the steps in terms of qualifying, in terms of like there's some stuff that we need to submit, for example. So I was allowed to skip some of those steps. So at uni, the course that I did was accounting, BSc accounting, and I got the full 9 exemptions from ACCA as a result. So I had 4 exams to sit, and these were like the highest level exams, the strategic exams. So you would assume that 4 exams is nothing, right? But what I found doing those exams is because I had not done the basic level, it actually felt very heavy because I had to learn the basics and then learn how to like form judgment on the basics and how things are done. Like if you're familiar, for example, with weighted average cost of capital, WACC. So in one of my modules, like I not only had to learn how to do WACC, I had to calculate the difference, like I had to judge it and say, okay, what elements could be moving? How can this be different based on this scenario? So it was like, although 4 exams, it was quite challenging, I would say. And I went in with the same mentality that I was at uni, because at uni I always got first class in all of my modules. I was like, I'm gonna go in and do all of my ACCA and get like 80s and 90s in all of them. But then I soon realized, I had to balance it between work and, how much effort am I going to put into my ACCA? Because with ACCA, the pass mark, I think it's 40. So once you achieve that much, it's the past. And no one cares about whether you get 90, 99. It doesn't really matter. So at that point, I was just thinking, okay, I just want to get qualified, which was a hard thing to do as like someone who's constantly trying to overachieve, accepting, okay, maybe I'll go for 60 or 70 because, you know, time is limited. So it was a bit stressful. And I would say, like, don't burn yourself out doing your ACCA by condensing it into, this is what I did, so I tried to do every 3 months. What happened was, some of the modules, I felt like I needed a bit more time to understand the basics first before I can start forming my own judgment on things. So I failed a couple of ones as well, but I took those experiences as, okay, the first time I failed, it was just about learning the basics and trying the exam. So I did it again. And this time it was more like exam method, okay. And then the third time when I sat the exam, it was like, okay, everything is complete. I know exactly what I need to be doing. Yeah, it's a bit difficult.
Yeah.
And what was the other question on? There were a couple of things on that question, I think.
I think that's just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, did they fund you?
Yeah,
Fund
yeah.
you.
Most employers will fund you, but I think ACA is the most prominent qualification in my field that I've seen. ACCA, I went ahead. I think I had the option of ACA or ACCA, and I went ahead with ACCA. Yeah.
Thank you very much. There's a question about video interviews. Any of you did video interviews at all? Mario is saying yes. So Mario, if you can answer that question, how would you prepare for a video interview?
It's difficult to prep for them. I think you need to do a lot of research. I think often in Glassdoor or in like blogs there will be people talking about what their experience was like, the type of questions that that like they might be asking. I think, I'm sure it covers like, why you want to do this role, why do you want to join this specific entity, and just so you know, because there is a little bit of there are different opinions on this. The video interviews do get checked. I mean, all the analysts in my team go through all the video interviews for all our summers and all the cycles. So there are resources put into this. What I would say is present yourself well. I'm very big advocate of like wear a tie to interviews, even if it's video interview, make sure you are perceived well, and just even if the answer comes as a little bit of a surprise, take 30 seconds to put like a good structure to your answer, right? Like I think that's the most important. Just try to have a concise answer. Don't have the answer that's the 0.01% percentile answer. Just have one.
Thank you.
I will add to that actually and say fake confidence. Just have fake confidence, even if you don't know.
Fake it till you make it,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Because the last thing that you want to do in an interview is like blank out and stop and not be able to like say. So I think first step is just to be comfortable in that interview yourself, and the other person can really feel if this person is confident or not. So you don't want to present someone as like someone who's reading off like every other like standard response, and I try in my interviews to like to relax, to just have fun with it sometimes, not too much, just just be more relaxed and confident, and I think that will go a long way.
Just to add something on that as well, because it's video, they can see more than you think. If you're reading off your notes, for example, they can see your eyes moving. That's one thing. Please don't do it. I've actually seen it myself, as I've been a part of the interviewing process before. Also, another thing, the light kind of reflects. So as you're moving pages, like from one to another, they can see that. So I would say just, whether you're recording yourself or the people are there like looking at you, look at them as well. Don't try to use your notes, make it evident as well. I would say don't hide your notes, show them, like, show that you're using notes, but don't make it so obvious like you're reading off of them.
good point.
And probably I would
yeah.
add maybe also prepare like some good questions that are not like too technical questions just to show off you are prepared, but questions that are really reasonable and questions that you can leverage to maybe say something more about yourself. So, yeah.
And last thing to add, sometimes in these questions they ask you questions on commercial awareness. So be on top of news and be on top of current events, because they might say, oh, what do you think of a recent merger, or yeah. So be on top of commercial points.
Very good. Thank you very much. I'll just put two questions together from this Slido questions. How to build soft skill and successfully network. Shall we start with Roberta? How do you build your soft skills and successfully network?
I mean, probably like I would start from the network. You can build your network through like your peers, your students, your personal connection, alumni. Really use, as I already said before, LinkedIn. Don't be shy. Send connection to people that you think have interesting career, and ask like just go for coffees, and then like try to also follow up quite regular with the network that you build, because sometimes maybe like you just need something and you connect with someone and then totally forget about that person, right? But really try to keep like the contacts that you develop over time, because then like also in your future like mid-level or junior mid-level type of role, I would say that the network really become like probably even 60% of your work. Like for myself, like working in an investment role, like through your network you are supposed to like source the investment opportunity, for instance, right? So more you grow in your role, more your network become powerful, I would say. So really start from the very beginning. Also with professors, like keep contact with them. Mentorship program, there are so many mentorship programs, not just through university but also through other like through other organizations. For instance, I joined Women in Private Equity Association, which is called Level 20. I always go to networking breakfasts or networking drinks where I just meet like other women working from other private equity funds or advisory organization, and from there like you build up very good relations. And I'm sure there are like similar things for every type of fields.
I think Roberta answered that question very well. I'll just add in that networking has to be mutual and it has to be genuine. Yes, you do take a lot from networking, but you also have to give, so keep that in mind. For example, how you do that: show up on time, be punctual, follow up. Roberta actually mentioned that. Offer assistance yourself as well, and also the drive has to be coming from you. I'll give you an example. I have a mentor. This mentorship, I didn't ask for it. It was actually offered to me. And because I really appreciate it, I want to show my appreciation, and I also want to show that it is actually genuine. How I do that? I make a plan. So the plan of this mentorship program and the whole schedule, my monthly programming, I know everything. It comes from me, not from my mentor. The mentor doesn't tell me what we need to work on. I go and say, listen, I think I need to work on my public speaking. How do we do that? Should we do a role play? And we do it. I prepare a presentation, then I present it to her, and then she gives me feedback. And then what you do, just don't take that feedback and not do anything with it. That's the worst thing that you can do. Do something with it. Work on it. Do another role play. 2 months, 3 months later, and show that you have actually improved and that you have used that feedback. So make networking genuine is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Anyone wants to add anything over there?
I will.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yes. So on soft skills, I think it's very important that you put yourself in the spot. So you can put yourself in the spot by taking leadership roles like Economics and Finance Society, or being even a student rep, and if you actually take care of these roles, you will develop these skills. And for example, say that you become the president of the Economics and Finance Society. you can be the president and not do anything, but you can also be the president and do something. So actually take it seriously and do something about it. In terms of the network, my 2 cents are, I completely agree with what my peers have said, and to add to that, it's very crucial that you try to make your network also work for you. So, if you meet someone who tells you about M&A, say a VP level, maybe you ask them, hey, is there somebody that you would recommend I speak to at a more junior level that you think can help me, fill the gaps? So do that. When you're networking, make sure you actually take care of your network. Don't just message one time and then forget about it forever. Actually try to keep connection with people, and these connections can help you now, or they can help you in 2 years, or they can help you in 4 years. You never know, right? For example, Roberta and I spoke before she joined her master's, and I remember her completely. I know where she works. If I might ask her for a job tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? Could happen, or maybe it's the other way around. And we know each other by now, right? So, and then so when you're networking, treat it as like almost informal interviews. If you say, hey, I really want to work here, they will ask you. Don't be surprised if they ask you why do you want to work here. I actually have good points to answer such questions: why you want to do the role, why you want to do the sector, why you want to be in that firm. And also don't be afraid to be, to some degree, quite direct, right? Be like, hey, look, wanted to connect, want to know more about the industry, keen on landing a job here. Are there any opportunities? How do you recommend I go on about the selection process? So be quite to the point. Yeah, that's it. Makes sense.
Yeah. I will move on, if you don't mind, to a couple of other questions. Maybe how long did it take you, Zuru, to get land your first graduate job?
So I didn't go down the graduate role that standard way, actually. So I jumped straight into the role itself. So it wasn't a graduate program. How long it took me? So I was working there from the beginning of my third year at a university. And so I'd already started the work, and I continued the work during the summer. So I would say about 8 months in, they decided to take me on. Yeah.
So that's excellent. Maybe Roberta could answer this question, and perhaps we'll make it just one more question, and then you could do the networking.
Yeah.
So Roberta, to you.
So
Is it important to get a summer internship? If I can't get any summer internship at the end of year 2, is it still possible to get one at the end of year 3?
yeah, I think so, right? Like it's important to have experience, work experience, like different type of work experience. Could be even like a volunteering experience, but at least try something. This could be during your second year or during your ultimate year, but just make sure that you also do something in the previous year as well that will build up a little bit your stories, right? Could be like a summer school. For instance, during my first year of university, during the summer, I did like a summer school in Copenhagen where I took some extracurriculum economics courses. So yeah, I mean, I think everything helps, but definitely try to get a little bit of work experience.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much to all of you, our alumni who are doing so well in their careers. Thank you to all of them, and thank you to all of you to have come in and listened and asked your questions. What we'll do is we will be sharing the recording as soon as it's available. And if you can please complete your feedback forms, that would be great as well. There's something that you can win, a £20 voucher if you can complete it as well. From now till about 11 o'clock, you have the chance to network. Take this opportunity to understand, ask the rest of the questions which I couldn't go through. So please come forward, meet them, exchange contacts, ask your questions so that you know what to do when you are looking for a job. All right? Thank you very much. Thanks to James and Hayden.